guys, welcome to today's Big Brother 17 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Drewski402. Okay, so I didn't get to your message until like way after you sent it, so I don't know if you already went on your trip or not, but Drew is going to be going up to Niagara Falls if he didn't already. That's super exciting, and he wants to know, is there anywhere else awesome that he should visit while he's upstate? I've actually never been that far upstate, so I don't know what else is around there, but I will say, if you're in the central New York area, definitely check out Syracuse! That's where I went to school, and it's the best ever. Alright, so, nominations were yesterday, and Becky put Shelly and Steve up on the block as planned, and the rest of the plan is to backdoor Vanessa. Oh my god. Alright, so after nominations, Becky was talking to Shelly in the HOH room, and we know that Becky already told Shelly this plan, even though she was like, I'm not gonna tell her until POV. She already did. So she gave her some other info. She was just like, Shelly, I want you to know that Vanessa was aware before that you were going up on the block, but she asked me not to tell you that she knew. So that's some shady stuff. Oh snap. So it's gonna be interesting. Is Shelly gonna try to pull the same stuff and not warn Vanessa, or is she gonna let her know, like, you're the backdoor plan this week? I don't know. But then Steve was alone in the cabana room, and he's talking to the cameras again. He really likes doing that, and he realized finally Vanessa is the target this week, not Austin. So he's just like, well, I don't want her to go, because he's been working pretty closely with Vanessa, or at least on his end. I don't think she really values his alliance as much as he does. But he thinks it would be bad for his game for Vanessa to go, so he's a little bit worried about that. So Vanessa and Shelly were chatting in the purple bedroom, and Vanessa's just like, you know what? We need to pull in Johnny Mac. We need to make some sort of deal with him. And Vanessa's saying how she thinks that he's loyal. Just look at the way he lied for Clay during that fight before the live eviction. And Vanessa's just like, we need someone like that in our alliance. You really think he's gonna want to align with you after the way you talked to him in that fight? I don't think so. But Shelly is just like, okay, let's talk about power veto. If I get house guest choice, should I pick you? And Vanessa's just like, yeah. So she wants her to pick her. Okay, so let's talk about the have-nots. Jackie, Meg, and James were all camped out in the have-not room. I don't get why they would want to spend more time in there, like, just hanging out. Wouldn't you want to hang out on, like, a real bed or, like, a couch and then just, like, sleep in there? I don't know, but they're kind of, like, isolating themselves in there, and I don't think that's the best idea for them. But they were talking some game, and they're not totally sure if it's in their best interest this week to get rid of Vanessa over Shelly, because they feel like Shelly is definitely going to be coming after them after what they did last week when they got rid of Clay. And James doesn't seem to think that Vanessa's going to be gunning for them. What? Who else is she going to go after? What? So then they were talking about the twins and how they're really sitting pretty right now, and I have to agree, yeah, they are. Like, no one is bringing up their names. Even Austin is in a pretty good spot right now. They're just skating by. People are afraid to go after them because they're a group of three, but I mean, the later they're still in the game, the more dangerous they become. That's, like, insane that no one is talking about this solid group of three right now. But Austin, as safe as he seems right now, he is still just as clueless as ever. He was talking to Vanessa, and he's just like, oh yeah, we definitely gotta get this veto used because Johnny Mac is gonna have to go up on the block. Becky's gonna have to nominate him. What? He's like, Becky is not gonna go against the deal. That would be insane. You really think that Becky's gonna nominate Johnny Mac? What? So then they were talking about their targets for the double eviction that they assume is coming up. They're right this time. And Vanessa's like, we need to go after Becky because, that's very distracting. We need to go after Becky because she's not going to flip back to us. Austin is just like, yeah, she will. She'll come back to us if we get back in power. So Austin wants to go more the Jackie route. He wants to go after Jackie. So then Austin was talking to Liz in the bathroom area, and they really want Johnny Mac up as the replacement nominee this week. Again, do they really think that Becky would do that? It doesn't make sense. But I guess it's just a testament to how well Becky and Johnny Mac are doing at disguising their alliance. People are not picking up on that. But Austin and Liz really don't want to lose Steve or Shelley this week, so they really want to see that POV get used. Just wait. Alright, so Becky joins the Have Not crew in the dentist's office. And again, guys, you should not be isolating yourselves in that room and making the HOH come to you, especially when she's like kind of on the outside of the group. Like, you need to seek her out and make her feel comfortable with the moves that she's making this week. Come on. I mean, really. So the Have-Nots are a little bit nervous about the POV situation. They're just like, do we make a mistake with these nominees? What if Vanessa wins and saves Shelley and then they're both safe this week? That would suck. So Becky's like, I'm not going to worry about this unless it actually happens. We need to play it organically, guys. So then they're like, yeah, but also, like, what if noms stay the same and then Vanessa's able to flip the vote so that Shelley stays and Steve goes? Again, both of them would be staying this week. That sucks. So again, Becky's like, you know, I'm not going to worry about that unless I have to. So Becky's trying to stay very calm right now. So then they were talking about different scenarios with the veto, and Becky definitely would rather use the veto on Shelley than on Steve because she feels like she can pull Shelley in this week. I don't think so, but she's very convinced that she can, and she really wants to work with Shelley. They don't think it's a good idea to leave Steve up on the block with Vanessa. I agree with that. There's a good chance that the others would flip the vote and keep Vanessa over Steve for sure. So let's talk about a few fun things. Jackie got to shed her night costume at midnight last night. Yay for being a regular person again. James the prankster was back. He made this voodoo doll out of foil and put it in Austin's bed. Liz ended up finding it. It was pretty funny. And time for a fun fact. Not only has Becky been hit in the face by a train, she was also been hit in the face by a bat. And I don't mean like, I mean like a bat, the animal, in the face. That's crazy. Okay, so now let's talk about Johnny Mac. Johnny Mac, what are you doing? He was talking to Shelley in the purple room. Don't get me wrong, I love Johnny Mac as a person, but some of his game moves are leaving me like, what? So he's talking to Shelley, and Shelley was just like, do you know what the plan is this week? Like, what's going on? And Johnny Mac was like, no, I don't know. Like, I have an idea, but no one really told me. So Shelley's like, oh, me neither. So they both know what the plan is this week. Becky told both of them, but they're both lying to each other about knowing about it. So Johnny Mac starts going on this thing saying that him, Shelley, and Steve are all fighting for their lives right now. The rest of the house is coming after them, and Vanessa and Shelley's just like, how do you know this? How do you know? And John is being like a little bit vague about it. So then Shelley's like, well, if I get house guest choice for the POV, what am I gonna do? Who should I pick? So she's like, should I pick Vanessa? She's gonna be really weirded out if I don't. And Johnny Mac is like, no. You cannot pick Vanessa. So then he tells Shelley about the meeting that Vanessa had up in the HOH about her plan for the double eviction. That's the one where she was like, everybody agreed that you're going to go after the remaining person between Clay and Shelley, Steve, and Johnny Mac. So Johnny Mac is just like, yeah, that's pretty serious. We need to go after Vanessa. I think that might be the backdoor plan. So we need to make sure that that actually happens. So Johnny Mac tells Shelley, if you get house guest choice, pick me, I'll win, I'll use it on you, we'll be safe, and we can get the votes to keep Steve safe against hopefully Vanessa. Are you serious right now? So then Johnny Mac goes and talks to Steve in the cabana room, and he also tells Steve, you need to pick me for the power veto if you get house guest choice. So Johnny Mac wants in on this freaking veto. So Steve is like, well, if you win, are you gonna use it on me? And Johnny Mac is like, no, I won't. I have to use it on Shelley. I'm sorry, man, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'd have to use it on Shelley. Because if Shelley was up against Vanessa, there's a good chance that Shelley could still go home. If Steve is up against Vanessa, Johnny Mac is saying that Vanessa would go home. So Steve is like, you bring up an interesting point. I'm gonna need to think about this. We'll talk about it again. So Julia sees that Johnny Mac is up later than usual, and he's going around talking to people. So Julia goes and talks to Vanessa, and she's like, I just wanted to let you know that Johnny Mac has been scampering around past his bedtime. Uh-oh. They've been way overusing the term scampering. It's too much, guys. You need to dial it back. All right, so Steve and Johnny Mac are chatting again, this time in the bathroom, and Johnny's like, all right, before I tell you this, you need to promise me you're not going to tell anyone, because people cannot know that we actually know the plan this week, or I'm going to be in big trouble. So it's like a whole Fight Club situation. So Johnny is just like, you know what I've noticed? Vanessa has had a fight with almost everyone who's left already, like right before they leave. So like out of the 6 evictees so far, she's fought with like 5 of them, and it's true. And Johnny Mac is like, guess who she just had a fight with before the last eviction? This guy. So he's just like, that's messed up. Like, I'm definitely a target for her. So Johnny Mac is telling Steve, like, it's either one of us or Vanessa going this week. So let's make sure it's Vanessa. So then Johnny Mac goes to bed. Steve goes into the cabana room by himself. He's crying. It's so weird and sad. So he's just like, should I tell Johnny Mac about Freaks and Geeks? Should I tell him about Students of Sound Alliance? What do I do? Ugh. So he's like kind of struggling here with what he's going to do. Is he going to let them take out Vanessa, or is he going to save her? So he's like, should I go through with John's plan? And then he's like, I just want to talk to my mom. Oh. All right, so after talking it out a little bit, Steve decides, if I get house guest choice, I'm going to pick John, and then I'm going to throw the competition. Ah! All right, so this morning, Vanessa and Steve were chatting in the cabana room, and again, it's more about who are you going to pick if you get house guest choice. So Vanessa's like, I've been thinking about it, and I think I'd be cool with you picking me if that's what you want to do, to play in the veto. I'll be able to play. If I win, I can keep myself safe from a potential backdoor situation, and I will obviously save you. So Steve is just like, what am I gonna do? So then they pick the players for the power of veto. So we have Becky, Steve, and Shelly, and then the 3 extra players are Meg, Austin, and Vanessa. Guess what? Shelly ended up getting house guest choice, and she picked Vanessa. Johnny Mac is the host. Okay, so Johnny Mac and Steve are pissed that Shelly did that because they talked to her about this beforehand. She said that she was going to pick Johnny. So Shelly apologizes to him. She's just like, I'm sorry. Vanessa would have freaked out if I didn't pick her. I couldn't do that. So, yeah, it's looking a little bit scary. Becky and her crew are all like, oh crap, what if Vanessa wins this? So they had the Power Veto competition today. It was the BB Comics one that they had last season. So it was individually timed, which means it's going to take forever. So the feeds were down for 5 hours, actually more than 5 hours. And when they came back, we found out that Steve won the Power Veto. I guess he decided not to throw it, or maybe everyone else just sucked way worse, but I'm pretty sure he just went for it. So now with Steve winning the Power Veto, Vanessa's going to be going into full panic mode. This week is going to be insane, so make sure you tune in. Power Veto ceremony should be on Monday. I'm sure there'll be lots of scampering tomorrow. So until then, much love.
Edit.